My heart raced as I stood at the entrance of the abandoned amusement park. The once vibrant colors of the rides were now faded and peeling, and an eerie silence hung heavy in the air. I had heard the stories, the whispered tales of the horrors that had occurred here, but I was drawn to the park like a moth to a flame. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that seemed to dance among the decaying structures. With a deep breath, I stepped forward, the crunch of gravel beneath my feet the only sound in the desolate place. As I wandered deeper into the park, a cold wind rustled through the empty rides, creating an unsettling symphony of creaks and moans. The Ferris wheel stood as a twisted monument to a bygone era, its rusted frame towering over me like a skeletal giant. I shivered, not from the chill in the air, but from the feeling that I was being watched. My flashlight cut through the growing darkness, revealing glimpses of broken game booths and overturned bumper cars. The laughter and joy that had once filled this place were now replaced by a haunting stillness. I made my way to the center of the park, where an old carousel stood frozen in time. Its painted horses leered at me with chipped smiles, their eyes vacant and soulless. I couldn't shake the feeling that they were waiting for something that involved me. The carousel began to creak, slowly turning as if powered by an unseen force. My heart raced and I stumbled back, my flashlight flickering. In the distance, a faint glow caught my attention. I followed it, my steps hesitant, and soon found myself in front of the dilapidated funhouse. The faded sign above the entrance read, "Hall of Mirrors." The glow seemed to emanate from within, casting an eerie light on the ground. Against my better judgment, I stepped inside. The air was thick with a musty smell, and the dim light made it difficult to discern the distorted reflections in the mirrors that lined the walls. My own reflection stared back at me, twisted and contorted, as if mocking my presence. I moved deeper into the maze of mirrors, my footsteps echoing eerily. But as I turned a corner, my breath caught in my throat. In one of the mirrors, I saw a figure behind me, a tall, shadowy silhouette that shouldn't have been there. I spun around, my heart pounding, but there was no one behind me. I glanced back at the mirror and the figure was gone. My mind played tricks on me, I reasoned, trying to shake off the fear that was creeping into my veins. I hurried through the maze, my reflection multiplying and distorting in every mirror I passed. The glow grew stronger, leading me to a large, ornate mirror at the end of the hall. The light seemed to be coming from behind it. As I approached, I saw a flicker of movement in the reflection, the same shadowy figure now closer, its features still shrouded in darkness. With trembling hands, I reached out to touch the mirror, and as my fingers made contact, the world around me shifted. I stumbled through the mirror, disoriented and terrified, and found myself in a different version of the amusement park. This one was alive with color and sound. Laughter and screams filled the air as people enjoyed the rides and games. But there was something off about the people. Their eyes were hollow, their smiles fixed in place, and their movements unnatural. I watched in horror as one of them, a young girl with pigtails, turned to me. Her eyes were pure black and her grin stretched impossibly wide, splitting her face open at the seams. She pointed a bony finger at me, and a chorus of laughter echoed around me, each voice more twisted than the last. I stumbled back, trying to find the mirror, the way back to the decaying reality I knew. But the mirror was gone. Panic rose within me as I realized I was trapped in this nightmarish version of the amusement park. The once joyful rides were now monstrous creations, their mechanisms grinding and screeching as they moved. The sky overhead was a sickly shade of green, casting a ghastly pallor over everything. The distorted laughter and maddening screams echoed in my ears, pushing me to the brink of insanity. I ran through the park, desperately searching for an escape, but the pathways seemed to shift and change before my eyes. The shadowy figure appeared again and again, always just out of reach, its presence a constant reminder of the horror that surrounded me. I was trapped in a nightmare, a twisted funhouse of my own fears and regrets. Hours or maybe even days passed. Time lost all meaning in this surreal nightmare. Exhausted and broken, I finally collapsed in front of the carousel, its demonic horses now in a frenzied dance, their eyes glowing with malevolence. The ground seemed to swallow me, pulling me down into darkness. And then silence. I awoke to the sound of birds chirping and the warmth of the sun on my face. I was lying on the gravel path at the entrance of the abandoned amusement park. The rides were still decaying, the air still filled with an eerie quiet. But I was back in the world I knew. I stumbled to my feet, my heart still racing, and looked around in disbelief. Had it all been a dream? a hallucination brought on by my fascination with the park's dark history. I wanted to believe that, but as I turned to leave, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in a broken shard of glass. My eyes were different, darker, emptier, and the corners of my mouth seemed to twitch upward in an unnatural grin. The horror of that night still lingers within me, a constant reminder that some nightmares are too real to be forgotten. The abandoned amusement park holds its secrets, and I, a mere observer, have been forever changed by the darkness that dwells within its decaying walls.